Welcome to Tuitify.
Today we are starting a new series on circulatory system, and our first video is just a brief overview about circulatory system, and in this video we will cover up some primary functions and components of circulatory system and some facts about blood. So let's get started. First, let us come to the components or composition of circulatory system. The circulatory system is mainly composed of three parts. That is the blood, which is the circulating material of our body. Then comes the heart, which pumps the blood in our body. And lastly, the blood vessels, which are the conducting tubes of our body. They conduct the blood throughout our body. Now, let us talk about circulatory system, how the circulatory system works. So, it's very simple. So, let me draw a brief diagram for you that will help you to understand the transportation of blood. So, suppose this is our lungs, I am marking it as L. This is our heart, I am marking it as H, and this is our body, whole body. So, I am marking it as B. So the blood actually travels from our lungs to the heart and then from our heart to the body. Again from the body the blood moves to our heart and from the heart it moves to our lungs. So in this way the blood is transported. The oxygenated blood moves from the lungs to the heart and then from the heart to our body. Again, from our body, after the use of oxygen is done, the deoxygenated blood moves to the heart and from there to the lungs. So, this process continues throughout our life. So, let us see, let me take the highlighter. It will be easier for me to mark the areas. So, how the function of heart is done, how the heart functions actually. We will discuss about heart and blood vessels and blood in our later videos, but this is a brief, let's get a brief idea about this. So everyone knows that heart have four chambers. That is the left atrium, the left ventricle, and the right atrium and the right ventricle. So what happens is, okay, let me tell another thing. Artery and veins. Artery transport oxygenated blood, whereas veins transport deoxygenated blood. So what happens is the starting from the right atrium from here, the right atrium collects all the deoxygenated blood from our body. That means it collects the blood which does not carry oxygen, which is oxygen deficient. It collects all the deoxygenated blood from our body through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. The blood from the body parts above the heart comes through the superior vena cava, and the blood which comes from our body part which is below the heart comes to the right atrium through inferior vena cava. Then from the inferior vena cava it passes on to the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle it is pumped to the lungs. From the right ventricle it is pumped to the lungs where the blood is oxygenated, where oxygen is mixed with the blood. Okay, and this passage is done through pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery is the only artery in our body that carries deoxygenated blood. All other arteries carries only oxygenated blood. Then from the lungs the blood is oxygenated and it moves to the left atrium of our heart. It moves to the left atrium and is collected in the left atrium. And from the left atrium, it moves to the left ventricle. And from the left ventricle, it is pumped to our whole body through the aorta. And when the lungs sends the oxygenated blood to the left atrium, it comes through the pulmonary vein, and pulmonary vein is also the only vein in our body which carries oxygenated blood. All other veins carries deoxygenated blood. So in this way the transport occurs from the lungs to our heart through pulmonary vein. This is the oxygenated blood, and from the heart to our body, again from our body to the heart, and from the heart to the lungs for oxygenation, which is transferred through pulmonary artery. We will discuss about all the parts in details. Now coming to the primary function of the circulatory system. The most important and main function of circulatory system is transportation. So what does it transport? It transport oxygen, nutrition, hormones, several clotting factors and protective substances throughout our bodies. And another main function is collection of waste product. Blood collect waste products from different tissues and cells and deliver it to special organs like kidneys and lungs for disposal. Okay, so let us read about some important facts about blood. First is 8% of adults' body weight is made up of blood. 8%. That means if a man weighs 50 kg, so 4 kg of weight will be of the blood. Then coming to the average temperature of blood, the average temperature is 38 degrees Celsius. It will be 38 degrees Celsius, and in Fahrenheit it is 100.4 degree Fahrenheit. It has a pH of 7.35 to 7.45. We all know that the pH above 7 is basic range and then below 7 is acidic. So blood is slightly basic in nature. Slightly basic in nature. Females have around 4 to 5 liters, while males have around 5 to 6 liters of blood in their body. Females have 4 to 5 liters, while males have 5 to 6 liters. This difference mainly is due to the difference in body sizes between men and women. The difference in body sizes causes this difference in volume of blood in the body. And blood in arteries are brighter red than blood in veins because of higher level of oxygen in the arterial blood. Actually, when you see your hand or legs, you can see that green lines are passing through. That is actually the veins. It looks green, but that does not mean that our it looks bluish green actually, but our blood inside the veins is also red, but it is not that deep as the blood inside the arteries because of the presence of oxygen. So in the veins there are deoxygenated blood present, so it is not that deep red. Now moving to the composition of blood. Blood is mainly composed of four main parts, starting from plasma. Plasma constitutes 55% of total blood volume. So 55%, that is most of the blood volume is because of plasma. Plasma is composed of water, salt, lipids and hormones, and it is rich in proteins and clotting factors like fibrinogens and all. We will talk about plasma, blood, red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, all the components of blood we will talk about in our next videos in details. Next, moving to white blood cells. White blood cells, there are between 6,000 to 8,000 white cells per cubic milliliter of blood. Remember this, this is per cubic milliliter of blood. You will get 6,000 to 5,000 white blood cells and it differs man to man. They are slightly larger in size than red blood cells and are also called leukocytes. You have often heard the term leukocytes, so white blood cells are also called leukocytes. Their function is to purify and protect the body from infections or any other disease causing germs, bacteria, virus, etc. Once an infection is detected in any part of the body, the white cells move to that area and fight the infection causing agent. Next is platelet. Platelets are also called thrombocytes, are smaller than all the blood components, that is red blood cells and white blood cells. Platelets are not as large as the other cells of blood. They play a important role in blood coagulation. They play a very important role in blood coagulation. Coagulation is actually clotting of blood. When you are wound, when you get any injury, the blood automatically stops after some time if you are a normal, if you are not having any other diseases like diabetes or anything like that. So it clots normally. This occurs due to these platelets, or when your any blood vessels ruptures, platelets combine together with fibrin and form a network which clots the blood in that area. Next, moving to red blood cells, most important topic regarding blood. A drop of blood with when you pin your finger, you will get you we use a pin to prick our finger and we take a blood drop, and if we take a blood drop we will get 5 million, approximately 5 million red blood cells there. And red blood cells are also called erythrocytes. They are small and biconcave in size, in shape, sorry, not in size, biconcave in shape, and they are without a nucleus. They does not contain any nucleus, and they get their red color from an iron containing protein called hemoglobin. You have heard about hemoglobin. So they get this red color from hemoglobin, which contains iron. Red blood cells make up to 37% to 43% of blood volume in women, and between 43% to 49% in men. They carry oxygen throughout the body. So let's see some pictures of the blood components. So this is a blood vessel, and these are the red blood cells. You can see here, these are the red blood cells. These are the red blood cells. Then these are the white blood cells. These are the platelets. Here you can see the platelets and the liquid part of the blood, which is the plasma. See, this is the plasma. It is slight yellowish in color. Then these are the red blood cells. You can see here. These are biconcave in shape. Then these are the different types of white blood cells, that is monocyte, eosinophil, basophil, lymphocytes, neutrophils. We will talk about it in details later in later videos. And here is the beautiful image of a platelet. Moving to the general properties of blood, we should know these properties because it helps us to check any blood reports and compare with it the normal values. So the total blood density is 1050 to 1060 gram per liter. Blood volume is 4 to 5 liters. We have read this in our previous slide also in females, and 5 to 6 liters in males. And the plasma density is 1024 to 1030 gram per liter. Density of blood cell is 1089 to 1097 gram per liter. The osmotic pressure of blood is 7.4 to 7.6 atmospheric pressure, and the freezing temperature of blood, very important. This is required for doing any experiment with blood, or preserving blood. The freezing temperature of blood is 0.55 degrees Celsius, and pH we have seen previously in the slide, that is 7.35 to 7.45. Moving to the salinity of blood, the salinity is 0.85 percentage to 0.90%. Now coming to hemoglobin count. In male, the hemoglobin count is 13 to 18 gram per 100 ml, and in female the hemoglobin count is 12 to 16 per 100 ml, gram per 100 ml. And the platelet count, these 3 points, hemoglobin, platelet count, WBC count, and RBC count, these are the important tests of blood done for diagnosing any disease. These are the main tests that are done. Platelet count is 1,30,000 to 3,30,000 microliter per microliter. WBC count is 4,000 to 11,000 microliter per microliter, and RBC count in male is 5.4 million microliter, and in female it is 4.8 million per microliter. Now coming to formed elements. What are formed elements? The cells that are found in the blood plasma are actually the formed elements, that is the red blood cell, platelets, and white blood cells. The red blood cells are also called erythrocytes, white blood cells also called leukocytes, and the platelets along with plasma forms the formed element. The white blood cells are then again divided into two parts, that is the one containing granules and the one without granules. So they are termed as granulocytes and agranulocytes. Then granulocytes are again divided into three parts, that is neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, and agranulocytes are divided into two parts, lymphocytes and monocytes. Again, we will discuss about all this in our later videos. So this is how a normal blood smear looks like. When you take your blood in a slide and observe it under a microscope, it will just look like this. So you can see the neutrophils here. These are the neutrophils. Then these are the erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. As you can see, these are all the erythrocytes that can be found in just a drop of blood. So this is how it is calculated. You will put the blood smear under a microscope and count the number of erythrocytes in just one area, and from that the average is calculated. So you can see how many erythrocytes are there. There are large number of erythrocytes and very less number of neutrophil and eosinophil. And when there is a large number of these neutrophils or eosinophils, I mean white blood cells, then it is diagnosed as there is some infection which is causing the increase in the number of white blood cells. And these are the lymphocytes. These are all the pictures of formed elements. This is a monocyte, these are platelets, these are small lymphocytes. This is a diagrammatic representation. These are erythrocytes and neutrophils. There are these neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils are lobe structure. You can see there is a three lobe structure. This is a 1, 2, 3. We will again discuss it later. Now coming to some important points related to blood. The main topic is hematocrit, which is the volume percentage of red blood cells in blood. This is measured as a part of blood test, and the measurement depends on the number and size of red blood cells. It is normally 40.7% to 50.3% for males and 36.1% to 44.3% in females. So this is the volume percentage of RBCs in blood. Next is hematopoiesis. It is the production of all the cellular components of blood and blood plasma. This is a process which is actually the production of all the cellular components of blood and blood plasma. It occurs within the hematopoietic system of our body, which includes organs and tissues such as our bone marrow. Blood is formed in our bone marrow, liver, and spleen. Simply, hematopoiesis is the process through which the body manufactures blood cells. And in our next video, we will talk about formed elements and their structure and function. And if you have any doubt regarding this topic or any question or any suggestion, please let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Do like the video if it helped you. Share it with your friends and family. Please subscribe and press the bell icon if you are new to our channel. Stay safe and keep learning.